Okay, so welcome to this demo of the Eedi platform where we are going to explore the teacher and student account together. We're going to understand a little bit more about the pedagogy behind Eedi, also how to find the right quiz, how to set the quiz for your class or multiple classes, what this looks like from the student's perspective, and then we're also going to learn how to analyze the results after a quiz together and use Eedi's powerful analytics to identify class trends and to direct your teaching. We are currently looking at the teacher account, and I can see here that I'm part of Eedi Beta Demo School, and we also can see the classes that I teach at the top here. So first place I'm going to jump to is the plan section, and this is where we are able to see any upcoming quizzes that I have set for my class with the start and due dates listed out here. And we can see this in a list format and also a calendar format in case I want to plan my upcoming weeks this way. And I can set work from both of these places. But for now, let's jump into the set work button, which is going to bring up all of the collections that we have available on Eedi. Collections are essentially groups of quizzes. So if you follow EdXL for GCSE, if you're part of a multi-academy trust, if you want to just follow the UK curriculum, then you can find that here in the Eedi collection. There are loads of collections to explore on here. If you don't want to look through a specific collection and you just want to find a certain topic, then you can use the search bar on the left-hand side here to just type in any topic that you're interested in. So if we type in multiplying fractions, for example, then all of our quizzes on multiplying fractions will appear down here on the left-hand side. But for now, I'm going to jump into the Eedi collection and we're going to go to the Year 7 quizzes available here. So if we click through all of the quizzes, you'll be able to see that they are all comprised of 5 diagnostic questions. And every quiz on Eedi has exactly the same format, apart from the retrieval quizzes, which I will come on to explain in just a second. So if we just choose any of these quizzes, like this one here, we'll see that you can see the 5 diagnostic questions to start with. And if we click into one of these, let's sort of dive into what makes a diagnostic question so amazing. Firstly, I should say that all of the quizzes increase in difficulty. So we start with the easiest diagnostic question, testing that specific key skill, and then we work our way up to the most difficult. So students are kind of working up the quizzes at their own pace while we're resolving misconceptions on the way. So if we click into diagnostic question 1, we'll notice that firstly we can see all of Eedi's data. For this question, it's not so interesting, but in a lot of questions, you'll be able to see that almost the same amount of students are choosing the common misconception built into the questions as choosing the correct answers. There are lots of great examples where students are making the same amount of mistakes as they are getting it right. So it's really useful for planning for error. Ahead of teaching a topic, this is sort of the first way that you can make the most of Eedi in searching that topic that you're about to teach and taking a look at Eedi's dataset. We can see for this question, we've got over 6,000 answers to this. And we can see that for this question here, a lot of the students are choosing answer B, which we give the common misconception explanation for. And that's what makes these diagnostic questions really lovely, is that built in to every wrong answer is a distractor, which means that Eedi is really good at understanding not only where your students are going wrong, but also the reason behind it, which is where I'm going to go on now to show you we're really good at also resolving any misconceptions. So you can use the diagnostic questions to identify misconceptions, and then Eedi will also go in and help your students to resolve them as well. So say if I got this question wrong, I chose answer B like many other students do. Eedi will then go in and help me to resolve this misconception. And the way that we do that is with this intervention content down here. And this is different for every diagnostic question that I'm working through. If I get this wrong, we give them some teaching videos in the form of a worked example video with one of our qualified maths teachers in order to kind of unpick that misconception and hopefully put them on the right path. After that, they get 4 fluency practice questions. And these, again, all increase in difficulty and they're designed to help your students build confidence in this sort of misconception that we've identified at the start. They are entering their answers into the platform here. And there's a full solution video to every fluency practice question that they get to. I will show you what this looks like in the student account in just a second. If at the end of a quiz I get over 4 out of 5, then I will be offered a stretch and challenge activity as well, which we can find at the bottom of every diagnostic question. We can see that there is a stretch and challenge activity which is designed to challenge even the most higher achieving students. So they are always sort of getting the right amount of challenge as they're working through the quizzes as well. So now we can go ahead and assign the quiz. If I just want to assign it to the class that I've selected here, Year 7 Y2, then I can just do that here by setting their start and due dates and click assign, and that will just go directly to their accounts. But if I want to assign this to multiple classes in one go, then I can click these three dots over here, and here I can select multiple classes in the drop down, as well as subgroups. So if I only want to give it to Abby and David, then I can do that here as well. So it's super flexible when you want to set a quiz. Now, there is another feature called retrieval practice, which we really, really recommend using. And you can find that in the settings section down here. So if I go to settings and I then go to assignment settings, which we can see here, then it's going to bring up this retrieval practice settings page where we have a nice explanation from Craig Barton about how this works. But in my own words, the way that retrieval practice works is constantly learning about all of your students. We know what students have got wrong previously, where they could do with more practice, whether we have resolved that misconception with them, and also whether they've got it correct. And retrieval practice is an automated feature that looks back at all of that data for every student, and it will put together a unique retrieval practice quiz every week or at the frequency that you want for every student, drawing back in concepts that we think that they should. So they are often comprised of 4 questions that they've got incorrect previously and 3 questions that they've got correct, just so that they are retaining that knowledge and it's not going in one ear and out the other. We can set the frequency here, which can be every week or every 2 weeks or every month. And we can also set the start date as well. And as you can see, I've got this enabled for this class. What's also really nice about retrieval practice is that this is totally unique to every student. So every student will have their own unique retrieval practice quiz every week, where we're constantly helping them to retain that knowledge and keep resolving any misconceptions that they have. So that's what I want to show you from the setting work side of things. And now we will jump into the student account and have a look at this from their perspective. Okay, so we're now looking at the student account and we can see here that I've got multiple quizzes set for myself this week. We've got a retrieval quiz, which is my personalised retrieval quiz based on previous data that Eedi has on me. And then also 3 quizzes that have been set for me by my teacher. In terms of workload and how long these take, they take around 15 to 20 minutes per quiz. And we recommend setting at least 1 quiz a week for your students to maintain momentum and make the most impact for their maths. We recently ran a randomized control trial where we found that when students hit the 120 question mark, which is around 24 quizzes, that is where they made the most significant progress in maths. So setting 1 quiz a week is really our recommendation. So let's jump into one of the quizzes here and make a start and take a look at what this looks like from a student's perspective. Okay, so the first thing we see is that first of 5 diagnostic questions, and this is the easiest of the 5 diagnostic questions that my students will receive. So I'm going to make my first attempt at this one, and let's see how I do. So I didn't get it right the first time. But because we've carefully planted these distractors in here and they are common misconceptions, we're able to understand not only where the student has gone wrong, but also why. We give them a second retry before we fully intervene. And I got it wrong a second time. So this student needs our support. We've identified a couple of misconceptions and we're now going to go in and help this student to resolve it. So the first port of call is I can watch the help video, which is a worked example video with one of our qualified maths teachers. And as I showed you in the teacher account, you can watch these videos ahead of setting the quiz, so you know exactly the kind of content that your students are going to receive if they do get a question wrong. After that, we give them some practice questions, and these are 4 fluency practice questions, where I am now entering my answer into the platform. I then can see here that I got that answer incorrect. So it's time to watch a help video, where I get a full worked example video and solution video again with one of the qualified maths teachers. After that, I move on to the second practice question. Okay, so we've made it to the end of the practice questions, and we're now going to take what we call the checkout diagnostic question. So if you were paying attention carefully at the start, you might have noticed that we have now given this student a very similar diagnostic question to the one that I got wrong twice previously, but the numbers have been swapped out. So we're still testing that same key skill that I got incorrect twice, but we're asking it again after they've followed that kind of intervention content that we give them. And now I'm going to make my attempt to check out. And in 90% of cases, students will get it correct after following that help content that we've given them previously. So Eedi is really effective. And as I said, we're sort of following a process of identifying misconceptions, helping students to resolve them, and asking them to check out at the end to measure whether we have resolved that misconception. After that, I move on to the next diagnostic question, testing that next key skill, and I will follow that same process if we find another issue with any of the future diagnostic questions. The other thing to point out is this tutor chat button. This button up here in the top right-hand corner allows me to talk to a tutor at any time that I want to, if I am an Eedi Plus member. Everything I've shown you up until this point is totally free. However, Eedi Plus is one of our paid-for features on the platform, and we also give it away as part of certain research projects and pilots that we run. So your students may well have access to this as well. And basically what this means is I can request help at any time I want to, and one of our qualified maths teachers will join this chat at any time, just over a chat interface, and give me that targeted support as and when I need it. In the past, we've had teachers describe it as like having 30 teaching assistants in the room. It's almost like your students can put their hand up and ask for help at any point, and our tutors are there to help your students whenever they need it. So now I've shown you what the flow looks like in the student account. Let's jump back into the teacher side of things again and show you how to analyze results once they've finished a quiz. Okay, so we're now back in the teacher account, and I'm going to jump straight to the check section, which is where we can see any quizzes that have been previously set for my class. So we can see that my class had a lot of retrieval quizzes in the past, and also the 3 quizzes that are set for me right now. This demo class has been very inactive, as you can see. So if we look at this sequences quiz here, we do have some data that we can look at. At first glance, we can see here that a lot of the class have completed the quiz. Any grey means that there are some outstanding students that have not completed the quiz. But we can see generally the correctness score, so around 56% correctness across the class, around 15% were misconceptions found and then resolved. And then we also have misconceptions unresolved. And this is where we can give you this data so that you can form small groups and help students resolve any remaining misconceptions. So if we jump into the results section, we can see exactly how every student did across every quiz. We can see their results and also the time that they took. So we can see here that a green tick means that the student got it right the first time. A purple tick means that we did find a misconception, but it's now been resolved and you don't necessarily need to worry about it. And a red cross is an unresolved misconception, and that means that we did discover a misconception. We then tried to help them with it, but unfortunately they still got that checkout question incorrect. So we can see here that Matt Matthews has struggled quite a lot with this quiz and probably will need some more support from you. But in 90% of cases, as I said, Eedi will resolve any misconceptions that we find. So the idea is that we're reducing your workload in dealing with 90% of the issues, and we're also helping your students instantly, just-in-time support as and when they need it. What you can use this page for, which is really nice, is getting small groups together of students that have the same unresolved misconceptions. It's really nice for, resolving misconceptions on maths, where we can see that multiple students have the same remaining misconceptions, such as these 3 here. But another really nice place to go is the fix section. And this is where we're going to kind of compile all remaining misconceptions into one place. So we can see that sequences, for example, has 6 students that struggle here. We've got 2 resolved misconceptions. So we can resolve this together. We can see that 2 students have struggled with question 3. We could display this on the board, present it on the board, and then we can tick resolved when it's resolved. So we've already sort of resolved 2 misconceptions here, and this just enables me to keep track of any resolved misconceptions that I need to work through with my class. But we're hoping that the fix section doesn't show many for you to do, because Eedi will hopefully resolve as many as possible as we go along. So that covers the demo at this point. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to hello@eedi.com and we would love to help you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.